What is so special about E? And no, I'm not talking about the letter, I'm talking about the number. Now, in math, E represents a number which is about 2.718, but how can such a random number like this have such a big impact in the math world? Well, for starters, let's take this expression, 1 plus 1 over n to the power of n, and let's plug in a few numbers into it. Now, what do we notice about this? Well, we see that the numbers grow each time, right? But they seem to be approaching our number, E, which is about 2.718. Think about it. When we plug in 1, it gets 2. When we plug in 2, 2.25. And then when you plug in 10, it gets 2.59, and so on. But as you can see, for 1,000, it's about 2.717, which is really close to E. And this pattern actually does continue. So we can say that the limit as x approaches infinity of this expression is equal to E. Now, in simpler terms, what this is saying, as x approaches infinity, because it can never equal infinity, so as this number keeps on growing and growing and growing, it will approach E. Another cool thing about E is whenever you take its graph, its exponential graph, so e to the x, its derivative or slope at any given point is the same. So the derivative of e to the x is e to the x, and you can't get that with any other function. To explain this better, I'm going to do an example. So I'm going to pick any given point on this graph. I'm going to choose right here. Great, now I'm going to draw a tangent line to that point, which means it's a line that only touches this point once. So that's what I'm going to do. Alright, that's not the best tangent line, but there it is. So let's say the slope of this tangent line was 3. Now if this was true, then that would also mean that this height right here would also be 3. And you can't do that with any other function. And finally, my favorite equation ever, Euler's identity, which says that e to the I pi equals to -1. Now, what amazes me about this equation is that e is an irrational number, and it's equal to about 2.71828. And pi is also an irrational number, and it's equal to about 3.14159. And I is an imaginary number, and it's defined as the square root of -1. So, what's crazy about this is that two irrational numbers and an imaginary number combine to equal a real number, -1. God bless.